Township. And I don't know, again, like I said earlier, if they're gonna divide that up into precinct 1, precinct 2, and
Right.
precinct 3. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. I did forget one thing, and I don't know how I could forget, but this year is our 45th anniversary
Yeah.
for the Interurban. And we hope to celebrate in January of 2026 with a new building addition, which we hope to start in October. It's a very small addition, it's 250 square feet, but it's gonna bring us 2 restrooms. And with 32 employees, having only 1 restroom is a little bit challenging. So, a much needed expansion.
You know, we have two.
Yes, 1 is tough. So, any other questions since I come back? I have an open door, please, come and talk to me about anything, good, bad, concerns, ugly, whatever, positive, ideas, anything. Please, come talk. Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Absolutely.
That brings us to the treasurer's report. You're ready.
Yeah, well, forgive me, I'm a little out of practice, just to remind the public and ourselves. Last month, this board did not meet, and in June, we were not able to do a treasurer's report. This for what, 5, 6 weeks, our server was dead. We had no access to our county records, we couldn't even check our bank account, so. With having said that, my report tonight is primarily, and it's important, it's the end of the fiscal year that ended June 30th. The numbers for last month will be available later because we haven't even fully loaded the new budget numbers into the system, so.
I think Peter did that.
Well, maybe today, we didn't have it a couple months ago. Okay, so this will be about the fiscal year, which is kind of more important in the grand scheme. So this is in the fiscal year, the end of fiscal year 2025, which ended June 30th. Also, by law, I'm supposed to report quarterly in detail on the investments. So this will be the end of fiscal year on that, because we couldn't do that in the last 2 months. So let's see, having said that, oh, and just one note in the consent agenda, which we will be voting on later. There was a final disbursement payments in June. Of just over $5,000, but technically, board is supposed to be aware of that to approve it. Hopefully next month things will be a little more back to normal. So having said all that, we ended the fiscal year, or no, actually, this is a July number. Our cash on hand in the general account banking account is $375,000, which I will point out is the lowest it's been in a while. But there's a couple of things going on there. Some of it is how we're now accounting for the different funds, and even our investments go roads, cemetery, and general. But we had some significant expenses in June, May and June that we're catching up with. So as I said, the general account went down by $600,000. These significant payments were primarily for further work on the roundabout, the new server and its installation, and the Riverside Road project, which was pretty good. So the good news is we made all those payments, and discussing now, just to remind you, a couple of years ago, our general account was $2 million, and I kept saying, that's more than we need in the bank every day. We had like 2.5 years expenses in the bank, not getting it, not doing anything for us. So we got a little bit more aggressive at that point. Then we were down around $1 million, which seemed like, let's keep it around. So, okay, it's gone down to 375. It's not a cost for an alarm. Deputy Stanislaus and I spoke today about this. We're gonna put our heads together next week because we also are jumping ahead to the investments now. We have 2 investments maturing at the end of this month and 1 next month. So we'll be talking. I think what I'll probably be recommending, our My Class, that's the municipal pool investments. We have over $1 million in the general fund. That is not restricted. So we'll be pulling some of that. I'd like to see the bank a little higher than, but again, it's okay.
And just to clarify, John, that money is not spent, that money is invested. So not, it's that it's not in our bank account doesn't mean that the money was
Oh,
spent, it's just
exactly.
saying that it was actually invested and is making money.
And it's fully liquid, so we can take it.
Yeah.
It's just not in the everyday account anymore.
Yeah.
In those terms,
But it
right?
will be short.
Sure.
Not all. Okay, just to catch you up on some things that have been going on. So at the end of fiscal year, going back to that, for the whole year, our total revenues came in at 9% above budget, which is very encouraging. The largest overages, positive overages, were in what we got from the state for marijuana revenue sharing. Our building permits continue to run ahead of what we had budgeted, and our interest received. Like I said, 9% total. On the expense side, they came in 7% under budget. So that's kind of a nice balance. It's a positive thing to report. So the other thing that was kind of critical in terms of the server being down, our summer tax bills were.
Delayed.
I know, I'm trying
I
to
think
think,
they came out the
3 weeks, I think, or.
No, I think it's like 2 weeks, yeah, the 14th, yeah, the 14th they came out, and they were usually come out on the first. But the state law does not specify.
Oh, it's still on, no,
Yeah,
I usually say that every year.
Yeah.
But we never had a delay.
Yeah.
This was out of our hands. So, but one improvement, taxpayers can now pay do ACH payments. We can improve that system, credit cards, instead of everyone. So that's all good. Let's see. Investments, okay, so back to investments, we ended fiscal year at $7.6 million, which is pretty incredible. Some of that is also, it increased a little bit because of some of the accounting things that our auditor would do. It's still, it's a nice thing, and I've already mentioned. Oh, just that total, the 7.6 million went up by 436,000, but some of that was accounting practices that the suggested. So let's see, so yes, property taxes have started to be collected. Talked about that first disbursement will be, it has not happened yet. It's catching up with having lost the server. But all in all, that's a good thing. So the next page, you all have an update of the through June 30th on the total investments. And now we do break it down now by the different funds, which are restricted, as I said earlier, unrestricted. So the bottom line, the bottom, that's the 7.6 million. And I think I've already mentioned the two of our items are maturing at the end of the month and one next month. And that would probably move some of the my class from the general fund at the top of the page. If you look at the first section, generally one, my class is at 1,085,000. So some of that we will be transferring to the. That's yes, unless you have any questions and all that, as we catch up and move forward. All good? All right.
Looking forward to chatting with
Yes,
you.
we'll talk next week. We have a couple of decisions to make. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Any commission? And you will give us a clerk's report later on?
Yes, whenever you tell them to.
All right, we can do that in open board report. Manager report.
I try to keep it high level and focus on the top things. I know we've been hearing a lot of reports. We did get preliminary scoring for our drinking water state revolving fund that could fund the replacement of lead service lines. It's just a preliminary score, so we still have to find out what the state is able to fund, but just let you know that that process is moving forward. This is really good news, we received conditional commitment of funds from MDOT's TAP program, the Transportation Alternatives Program, for $2.56 million, which covers 66.8% of the construction costs of extending the Blue Star Trail from Wiley Road all the way down to M89. We're still waiting on word from other grants for both the TAP program and the Michigan Health Endowment Fund. So, but this is the big piece of funding, so that's a really good piece of news for the completion of the Blue Star Trail in our community. Let's see what else. We do have a presentation coming up, so staff has been working with Progressive AE on a project to look at zoning ordinances related to housing. How can we make housing more attainable? How can we bring in more diverse housing stock into the community? Progressive will be presenting to the Planning Commission on our work there. And we'll also be hearing from Ryan Kilpatrick. He's got a consulting firm called Flywheel. And he will be presenting on Hamlet style zoning as a tool for both diversifying housing stock and also for redevelopment of properties that may be underutilized. So I think that'll be interesting for the Planning Commission and for the public. Lots going on with parks. We have our improvement project at the Tails and Trails Park starting the first week of September, estimated 4-week construction period. The Parks Commission did approve moving forward with a bid to do the improvements at Sundown Park, which is very exciting. And then something that the board is considering tonight, and I think there's a few Parks Commissioners here who may want to speak about this. But I've given updates on our work with the Natural Resource Trustees on the Kalamazoo River. And their funding of design and engineering work for improvements at River Bluff Park. We got an estimate for that project, I think it was about $1.23 million, so it's a substantial amount of money. We applied for 2 grants. Both ultimately have federal funding sources and both were not successful, which was unfortunate. The trustees have a strong interest in seeing this project completed. And so they have asked us to sign a resolution to commit $250,000 to the project, and they will cover the remainder of the costs. And to give you an idea, they've already committed $98,000 to this project. We haven't paid a penny to that. So at the end of the day, they would have committed over $1 million to see this project implemented. So that's something that you all will consider later on. And I think those are kind of highlights. We'll leave it at that.
On to item number 4, public comment. We have some people here in the audience today, which we always love. Let's go with first row. Dane. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Dana Bird, 6871 Wiley Road, also a Parks Commissioner. So I just want to speak in support of the River Bluff project. I think I was going to go back and look it up, but it's been 4 or 5 years since this whole idea came about. And the Kalamazoo River Trustees Group is a group of federal and state agencies made up of U.S. Fish and Wildlife, NOAA, Eagle, and I think the DNR is involved. And they got settlement funds from legal action against all the entities that have polluted the Kalamazoo River over time. And so they reached this settlement with all those entities, and they dedicated a certain amount of money to funding like ecological improvements, habitat improvements, public access improvements within the watershed. And they started by just submitting a very broad net out to say anyone in the public can submit ideas for how we spend this money. And I was on the Parks Commission at the time, talked with some of the other Parks Commissioners, and we submitted an idea to do something at River Bluff Park because we have a lot of natural shoreline, we have obvious visible public access, and there's not that much view of the river in that area from public access points. And so we really thought it was an opportunity to improve public access, improve the shoreline along there. Fishing and fish habitat was a big item that the trustees were focused on. So we had some ideas about that, and we were fortunate that they selected that idea early on and funded a feasibility study. And it's been great working with Daniel on that. I really give him a lot of credit because one of the first things we had to do was figure out how to use their easy grant system for reimbursements, and it is nothing like easy.
Big misnomer.
Great misnomer there. So, but we've been working with the trustees, attended several meetings, so we meet quarterly. quarterly and then it's sped up to monthly. And we're really fortunate that they're at the point now where they're willing to commit nearly another $1 million for this construction. So I really hope the township board supports the project. I know it's got a lot of support among the Parks Commission, and I think there'll be a lot of improvements that'll be really high value that the public will really enjoy, and the park will get a lot more usage, be great views of the Kalamazoo River in that area. So I hope you support it.
Butler.
Ken Butler from the Parks Commission. I first want to thank Dana, who actually has done a great deal of work on this. And he's done obviously Daniel, our own magician, who has managed to get past the misnomers and keeps moving that project ahead. The grant with for the property on Wiley, he worked ahead, and we're just lucky to have these two gentlemen working for us, because I'd hate to have to work this thing.
Mr. Searing.
My name is Jim Searing, and I'm on the Park Commission also. We've thought a lot about River Bluff over the years. I've been on the Parks Commission for a long time. Our goal has always been to improve the waterfront, the dock, the deck, and the trails. We've done some small things. We put a new roof on the shelter. We put a culvert in where there was an old beat up bridge. But this was an unbelievable opportunity. A new deck, a new dock, and this elevated walkway that's part of the proposal. It's hard to describe how much this would add to the park. And the parks here are tri-community, Eden County. I talk to folks that come to the parks, they come all over. And so I really do encourage you folks to support this. This is truly a one in a long time, not maybe a lifetime, but a long time to really accomplish something good for the township and the parks.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else in that?
Yes.
Row? Got me. Four.
Yeah, I think we're only missing one. And Elliot served on Parks Commission as well. I can't improve upon what my colleagues have said up to this point. What I'm hoping to see in the near future is that we as a commission get the word out to the local public about these parks, especially River Bluff and the smaller parks, because a lot of people that I speak with don't even know they exist, and especially with River Bluff. If you take a walk along that trail, it's stunning and beautiful. It really is. And that is it a gazebo at the end? Is that what we're going to call it? Really, it's a wonderful place, and I'm hoping that we get the word out somehow. I don't know, maybe the commercial record. Stand on.
We can do it.
Better say.
We can do it. Like tell us what it's getting.
Get people to locally want to visit these parks. It's a nice way to get away from cares of everyday. So, thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Ellie. Yes.
I'm not from the Parks Commission.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if this is the right place to do that. So I don't know if this is the right place to do it, because I saw public comments.
It is, and I apologize, I did not introduce our public comment section as I normally would. It's a chance for anybody to be heard by the board. 3 minutes if you're talking for an individual, 5 minutes if you're talking on behalf of a group, and it's not question and answer session. It's just your chance to be considered. Go ahead, state your name.
Douglas Hobine, 6865 Wiley Road. I actually sent a letter to Abby, and I think you forwarded it to Daniel, but I didn't see it in the packet, so I may be covering something that you have in the packet already.
I'll make sure everybody gets it because I do have your letter.
Okay. It's concerning the 17-acre development that the city of Douglas is planning on Wiley Road.
If some of you remember that part of that property was annexed by the township to the city, annexed, transferred, I don't know what you want to call it. And I'm wondering, as a township, if we have a leverage with the city on improvements, infrastructure. Because the city is planning, if you don't know, they're planning up to 150 homes on that 17-acre parcel. Some of the neighbors and I are very concerned about that high of a density on 17 acres with an entrance off of Wiley Road. So that brings in all that traffic, all the pedestrian traffic that is already a concern down Wiley Road to Lakeshore. So I'm looking for the township to maybe help us because we feel like maybe our voices are not being heard as a city because we are township residents and not city residents. So our concerns are the infrastructure, the traffic, all of that concerns down Wiley Road to Lakeshore. So maybe there's some leverage we can use as a township that is annexed and transferred. And so we keep Wiley, West Wiley, I like to call it West Wiley wild, right? Keep West Wiley wild. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from that room? Yes, please.
I know most of you. Chris Clark. I'm a township president. I live on 63rd Street. And I also think I speak for a Riverwood Council. I invited my colleagues to come, but I'm here. I coordinate the 200-member Radar Hill Hiking Club as well. River Bluff Park is a good park. If this project is funded, that it's already been discussed by my friends on the Parks Commission, I think it'll be a great. Besides stabilizing the shoreline, which they talked about, and there's going to be this beautiful boardwalk over the marsh. There's going to be a great fishing dock, and no one's mentioned the fact that the initial part of the trail is going to be made much more accessible. And so there's going to be switchbacks instead of fairly steep for people who have walking issues. So I encourage you to approve this item 13.1 on the agenda. Partly because, for every dollar that you're going to be investing, you're going to get more than $5 of value. And mostly because I really think it could be, as Jim said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. In that back row, would either of you like to make a public comment? No? Right. We have anybody joining us online today? Good. If you'd like to speak on Zoom, please raise your hand. Going once, going twice. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment and move on to item number 5, agenda approval. I trust everyone has had a chance to review the agenda, and I would entertain a motion to approve it.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
We have motion and support, discussion. No. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And moving on to the consent agenda. Unless there's anything that anybody would like to pull out of there to speak about a little bit. We have clerk's report in there, but if clerk is agreeable to do that at it's perfect. Okay. So again, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move to support the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Motion and support. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, that brings us. We do not have. We don't have any items under 7 through 12, so we will go ahead and skip right up to new business. And item number 1 is River Bluff Park Contribution Resolution.
92.
92?
Mhm. No, we just, that much is an operation.
Oh, it's because we covered a lot in the beginning.
Yep, yeah, so all, yeah, most of
New
that,
format and having a month off has thrown me a little.
Yeah.
John will teach me.
I'll give you my bad.
All right, on page 92. So Daniel, go ahead and kick off this discussion, please.
yes, so we heard a lot from the Parks Commissioners, and I think Dana's not here anymore, but he gave a really fantastic summary of how we got involved with the Natural Resource Trustees of the Kalamazoo River, that they are a collection of state and federal agencies that are managing disbursement of legal settlement funds from historic polluters of the Kalamazoo River. They have chosen 14 projects in our area of the Kalamazoo River to fund, and they're focusing on both ecological restoration, but also improve recreational access for the public to the river, because there were recreational opportunities, connections that were lost due to the pollution of the river. They chose 14 projects to prioritize. Dana was the one who put together the entire application for the township. This was even before, like he said, 4 or 5 years in making, before my time. The trustees chose that project. If you remember, originally, they were only open to funding a feasibility study. So we went through that feasibility study. They were really happy with the direction. They funded the complete engineering of the project, which includes, if I put this in here, how many? Yeah, 780 linear feet of bluff restabilization, which is huge. River Bluff is prone to erosion. Some of it has to do with its location near the bridge and how much boat traffic it gets. So to be able to stabilize it, and we're using natural materials to stabilize it and build up. Essentially what we're doing is we're mimicking the natural process of the buildup of the bluff by taking trees that have already come down or about to come down, stabilizing it, building up that sandy shore. In the process, it creates habitat. But then we're also looking at some really nice recreational improvements too. A really beautiful 70-foot fishing pier, 325 feet of over the marsh boardwalk. We are looking at invasive species treatment and bringing in natural plants into the wetland area to restore that. And then a really nice switchback in the very beginning of the trail to improve access. That's a huge hindrance to that park, the fact that the entrance is so steep. Even for somebody who has no mobility issues, you could very easily slip and fall. So we'll correct that forever, and it'll really, just allow that many more people to access the trail. And over the marsh boardwalk comes in at a part of the trail where, again, it becomes a little treacherous. And if you were to try to widen the trail or stabilize the trail, you could end up really disturbing the natural environment. So the boardwalk allows us to, again, make the park more accessible, preserve the best parts about the park, and also create a whole new experience, a whole new, view shed for folks. So some really, really beautiful improvements there. They come at a price, at, I think I put it in here, $0.232 million. Everything that's been spent on this project so far has been covered by the trustees of the Kalamazoo River. So the township has not paid any money into this project, which is unbelievable. We were really hoping to secure some grants. I thought we had really strong applications. Some things are out of our hands, and we were not successful in either of those grant programs. But recognizing the value of this project, and I know one of the trustees wanted to be here tonight, he was unable to. But he let me know that the trustees will be considering this in the next few days, their own resolution to actually commit funds, but in theory, they're willing to commit the funding for the construction of this project, as long as the township will commit $250,000 towards it. So essentially, we're committing $250,000. The trustees will have committed over $1 million to see this project completed. Something to highlight, and I know I talked about this at the workshop. The question is what fund should the money come from? The Parks Commission is really spread thin right now. I think they're doing a lot of incredible things. We're also saving up money for a potential acquisition project. So my suggestion is that the board consider that commitment of funds coming from the general fund. It is not part of our budget, so we would have to add it to the budget, and it would most likely come from the fund balance. But as John pointed out, we were 9% over, and we're actually, I don't think that Peter entered it just yet, but we received a $22,000 check for reimbursement that's gonna go into revenue. And then we're also waiting on our last revenue share, which is gonna be probably another 60,000, so there's gonna be some money again going back into that fund balance, so we're not depleting it, it continues to grow. But that's the consideration, that given all that Parks is committed to and is doing, that we give them a little more opportunity to commit to the projects that they have on their docket, and that this contribution comes from the fund balance of the general fund.
Well, I know I touched on this at the committee of the whole meeting, although this is a bit of an unexpected or unplanned for expense. Our constituents have consistently demonstrated that this is how they want their dollars spent, through public input sessions, in-person ones, through questionnaires. Parks Commission has their own millage, through their votes, they have demonstrated this is important. And we are in a financial position to absorb that, and we should be spending those tax dollars wisely for things that people are valuing. And it'd be really hard, hard to walk away from $1 million. Any other comments or
Well,
questions?
as someone who has, I think, a couple of times tried to hike the upper trail,
Oh, yeah,
descending, as you know, I've had some balance issues of late. I look forward to seeing improvements there. And the other thing too, it's come up, by the commissioners, it's such a beautiful big park, and we have to increase the awareness. Saugatuck doesn't.
Yeah.
They have a park now, but it's in the township. Anyway, but yeah, it's just, we need to blow our horn, because it's a very special place.
And I think with this project, we could do, we can do a groundbreaking, we can do a ribbon cutting. And then the hard part is, like, it's hard to drive people there when you know that they might come across an obstacle and even entering the park. So to know that that's no longer a hindrance for the public, I think that we could toot our own horn.
And we're lucky, it already has parking.
Or lots of parking.
We might need more someday, if
Yeah.
one of the word gets out.
Exciting. It's been a long time.
Would you like a motion?
I certainly would.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-18, a resolution committing matching funds for the River Bluff Park Shoreline Restoration Project.
We have a motion by Aldrich. Is there support? Yes, I'll support that. Supported by Osmond. Any further discussion? Thank you all to everyone, including Dana, who did the lion's share, or not the lion's share, but a big portion of the work. Thank you for your work on this. It's really incredible. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Aldrich,
Yes.
Osmond, yes. Bigford, yes. Humrick.
Yes.
Carries 4-0. Well done. Well done. Right. Township Hall redesign construction phase authorization.
This is the point of no return. Okay, so there's two motions in here. One is a change order, so the change order finalizes the design and construction administrative fee for the cost of moving forward with the exterior upgrades and the development of the site for the township hall site. And then it also is a deduct for the design fee that we did not utilize, so we were able to save a little money there that we came up with a design before totally expending all that fund. So that's the first item that needs to be voted on. And then the second item is the approval of the final budget and authorization to proceed with construction. And I can talk through the budget a little bit with you here. So right now, the budget for upgrading the exterior, which is resurfacing all the exterior walls, so the brick and the concrete block. Which was something that we did to save a little money, so we're gonna paint the brick, we're gonna paint the block, it's gonna look really nice and really fresh and new. But instead of resurfacing everything, which could have cost a lot more money, or recladding it rather with something else. But we're also going to construct the new covered walkway that's going to cover the south and the west facade. And then everything to do with the site, so the construction of the parking lot in the back of the building. The addition of the off-street parking on the side, sidewalk connecting the off-street with the site. We're gonna do sidewalk in the front of the building, and then the construction of the plaza on the south side of the building and on the west side of the building. All of that is coming in at $1.512 million. It's a little more than we were hoping for, but it's not all coming from the general fund, so about $38,000 of that is gonna come from the road fund, because that's all work that's being done in the right of way. We also have a lot built into contingencies, so we have about $12,000 left in the design contingency, pretty much done with the design. So I think that that's gonna be something that we absorb. There's a construction contingency of almost $100,000, and then we have an escalation in estimating contingency of almost $25,000. So there's a lot of opportunity to see that come down. But right now, what I would anticipate is about 1.474 coming from the general fund, 38 coming from the road fund, with the potential to see that number drop by, I mean, I'm not guaranteeing this, but if all goes well, it could drop by 134,000, so the project might end up more like 1.35. But to be safe, that's the number. I did put together a little chart so you can see what funding is available. So this funding is primarily coming from the capital project fund and contributions being made to the capital project fund from the general fund. It also includes our rehabilitation and placemaking grant. So that puts the available funding at 1.575. We're trying to do everything we can to not spend all that. But that's the available funding that's there. So we're gonna try to be as effective with the funds as possible and high impact as possible. And I thought we did some, from your feedback, some nice things to save some costs, like keep the locations of the vestibule. We're gonna keep the brick, but that allowed us to do the covered walkway. But right now, what you would be approving would be moving forward with getting the bids in. At a low, they're saying it could come in at 1.51, at a high, 1.59. I have talked with the architect and I've asked them what happens if it comes in at 1.59. And they say this happens sometimes with clients, and you just go back to the drawing board and you might have to edit a little bit. So even if it comes in high, I think the strategy would be to take away items and include it for a future phase, as opposed to trying to push the budget. But like I said, the way that we set this up was that we could pursue a design, get a cost, and then determine whether or not we want to move forward with construction. So we could always say, you know, this is not the right time for us
Sure.
and leave it at that, and then we have all of our drawings for when it's right. Or we can say, actually, this is the right time and we wanna move forward with the construction.
And as discussed in committee of the whole yesterday, it's probably likely that some of this will be spread over 2 different fiscal years.
I think that it will, I don't.
Especially with the delays that always happen.
Yes, I don't think that will be finished. We want to start in spring 2026, but I don't think construction will finish by July 1. So it's very likely that this will spread across 2 fiscal years, which will be helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if we don't move now, we will have to we potentially will forfeit our grants. And I don't see that grant programming continuing next year. They dropped it from $99 million of funding last year to only $25 million this year. So it's likely that that grant program will totally disappear. So it was really nice that we got in at the kind of the nick of time.
Any questions or?
And the design looks exactly the way you saw it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's nothing- yeah. Yeah.
I love it from like a clerk's perspective,
So
I
that's
like
one-
it
Couple
from.
months ago.
Yeah, the one that you saw, yeah, so they were,
It's been a while, I can picture it in my head.
Yeah. yeah,
Even the wave.
the wave effect, and we're going
And
with
then
the
name
wood.
of the township.
It's so light and bright compared to the other designs
Oh, yeah.
that were shown, and it's just beautiful.
I think
I think
so,
it'll
too.
look great.
No more brutalism.
No more. No, organic and bright and welcoming.
Right, just like we are.
Right.
That's what it
And everyone's waiting with bated breath because it's in the paper. Will you or will you not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What's that? What you?
it's in the paper whether or not the board, that the board is gonna consider this tonight.
Oh, your picture? Oh, I haven't read.
It's a little grainy though. I don't think he used the
It's in my
best
green page.
picture, but it is what it is.
Well, it's on the point, it's like.
I don't.
It'll look.
Oh, it's that.
Probably something you could
It
do.
doesn't say much. It's okay.
All right,
Good
someone
to
like
talk
to
about.
make a motion or we need some more information?
Which motion?
I would do the first one first.
Okay,
Yeah.
I move to approve change order number 5 with progressive AE.
Motion, is there support?
Support.
Motion and support, further discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carried 4-0.
I'd like to make a second motion to approve final budget for the township hall redesign project and authorize the township manager to proceed with finalizing construction documents and initiating bidding process.
Support,
I'll support.
motion and support.
I might do a roll call for this just because it's so much money.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was, all right, thank you. No further discussion, I'll call the roll. Humrick,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Osmond.
Yes.
Bickford, yes.
Look at that.
Yeah, we got the report in. I know Tyler was gonna try to join, his wife is going to have a baby like any time,
Wow.
so. He has to focus on his priorities.
She.
You could,
I think we have, there's a lot to read.
there is,
It's very.
it's very interesting for you.
That is, yes, we could take action, we could, table until we get more information. But let's go ahead, I know we talked about this at the committee in the whole meeting, but Daniel, just give us a little bit of an overview before we take the action.
Yeah, so this is a 10.5 acre site on 134th. It backs up to the former landfill site on 134th. The landfill site's actually composed of two parcels. One is fully owned by the city of Saugatuck. The other one is half owned by the city, half owned by the township. The applicant is proposing to do mineral excavation, sand mining on the site. Our ordinance says that there has to be 100-foot setback. Although if they get approval from the adjoining properties, that they could actually work within that 100-foot setback. So what they're asking for is a reduction in setback to 50 feet from the township, and then they also asked the city. As you know, the city denied, and their letter explaining their denial is part of the packet. We did want to get information from our own engineer. The report is still somewhat in a draft form because there's some further things that have to be investigated. And the memo or the report from the engineer includes not only the question of the setback, but also broader questions about environmental concerns with the excavation of material in proximity to the landfill. Right now, there's not a concern that the soil at the surface is contaminated. I think they're confident that it is not. The concern is that if you excavate and you hit groundwater, there could be contaminants that are leaking from the landfill, which then could contaminate the soil. And then the soil is being excavated and potentially it's being sent all over the state. So it's a liability for the township because we are responsible for the landfill. Waste management is a part of that responsibility, but the township and the city of Saugatuck operated that landfill prior to waste management coming involved. So we do have liability that we can't get out of because we've already asked legal. So if this were to move forward, and that's why this is not fully complete, we're really gonna have to think about a testing strategy. When it's excavated, do we go on site and we test it to make sure that it's clean to send out? I know that recently we had a correspondence from the applicant's attorney. And the applicant is willing not to excavate below groundwater level. So that could be a potential solution because that's the concern of the contamination traveling through the groundwater. So that's kind of the overview of the engineering, and they did test for VOCs, which the site was positive for in the past. They did not find VOCs now, but there's a lot of other contaminants that were not tested for that the engineer is gonna want the applicant to test for. Because there's a lot of things that could have been put into that landfill. So in general, I think that there are substantial environmental concerns with excavating material near a landfill with the intent of transporting that material to different states or different areas offsite. In general, though, the engineer is saying that the very project itself has environmental concerns, but a reduction in setback is not going to impact. It's not gonna exacerbate those environmental concerns. Those environmental concerns exist whether or not the setback is 100 feet or 50 feet or 200 feet. So we're dealing with the same question. So that's, I think, something to think about if you want to reduce or approve the reduction in setback, that the environmental concern exists no matter what the setback is. And so there's not a significant increase in risk by reducing the setback. I did add some other points into additional considerations for you all, because the Parks Commission did have concerns about this project going in so close to the Trails and Trails Park. And also concerns about the fact that that landfill site, there's, I think, a long-term vision to see it become or be redeveloped as a recreational site, which has happened in other areas of the state. I did talk to Waste Management, and Waste Management said that they believe that that we're kind of like at the tail end of that site being closed, and that there is a potential for that to transfer over to the communities And then we can look at the redevelopment of that site for recreational uses. I also wanna call attention to the fact that the city's new park is on 63rd Street. And so whatever trucks are going to the 134th site, they're most likely going to be passing the entrance to the new Saugatuck Park. So there will be some increased traffic around the entrances to the parks. Also 134th, we have it in our master plan as a potential pedestrian pathway. There's an opportunity, it's costly, there are grants, of course there's grants, but you know, there's a potential to do like some sort of like underground culvert for pedestrians underneath the highway and connect the west and the east side. Yeah, I talked to Brian about it. So it's in our plan because you gotta be proactive. So, you know, it might be pie in the sky, never happen. Well, tunnel would be easier, it'd be cheaper and, yeah,
It's darker.
yeah, it'd be a little darker. Maybe we'll have like, you know, we'll have skylights. So there is that to think about too. And then also the ground water levels are really low there. And so there was even a question of whether or not they would hit groundwater and it would really be a pond. And if they're not going to hit groundwater, it's definitely not gonna be a pond. So you just have to prepare yourselves that, you know, there's gonna be a big hole in the ground. There will be some reclamation or restoration. You know, less steep slopes, there's gonna be, I forget exactly what the engineers call it, there's gonna be some sort of like a bench at the bottom, so if somebody falls down or an animal gets down there, they'll be able to get out, but there will be a sandy hole in the ground forever and ever in that location. Some things to think about, the 50-foot buffer that is being required has to be kept in a natural state. Maybe as part of the approval, you ask for additional trees to be planted if it makes sense. But just things to consider, that the engineers believe that in general, there are environmental concerns that will need to be addressed with this project. But a 50-foot reduction in setback does not impact those environmental concerns. But there are more general recreation concerns. Will a reduced setback negatively impact public land that would be redeveloped for recreational use? And if it could, are there any things that you might ask for to mitigate that?
My feeling is, since none of us have read the engineer's report, it was just. See, and the fact that the city has as well, so I'm sure
They denied it.
oh, they did.
They denied
Because
it.
as it just, okay,
Yeah, so their denial letter is in here. So I did,
well, we could either
yeah, so the.
table it or do a motion to deny, in my opinion. But anyone
I think
else?
it's important to carefully consider, you know, we need to afford that to all, you know. That's just my opinion, that we should still get more information from our engineers and carefully consider it. Yeah.
I think we should table it then. Do you think?
Or is it delay? What's good terms? We're supposed to do this.
The table, I think that means that we have to pick it up again next September, but I think that makes sense because
Yeah.
the next meeting,
month.
yeah.
No, that makes sense next month.
Because we will have more information at that point and I don't know if this is the impression of the applicant's attorney or this is true because I didn't get to speak to the city. But the attorney communicated to us and indicated that the city was willing to reconsider their decision based on the applicant's willingness not to excavate below groundwater level. So that's a new development. So there might be, I think, more information to come that would be relevant in you all making a decision.
And we'll be able to see what their thinking was in denying it.
It's in there, it's in your
It is-
packet.
It's in it, oh,
Yeah, it was in the original packet.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
Page 113.
You tell me what they said, cool. I like that.
We're just gonna have
All right, you're right, never mind.
So yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
we're gonna, and then we have our engineers report and there's more forthcomings.
Right, and then things can change and develop and we can get more information and have more discussions over the next month.
Yep.
Okay.
That's fair.
Happy to. Move to, table item number 3 under new business Ironwood setback request to the next regularly scheduled meeting of Saugatuck Township Board in September.
I will support that.
Is that okay, Morgan? Sure. There's always a video to watch. I know. Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Here for retreat, community discussion.
yes, I think I might have the applicant in the audience. Just to clarify for you all, we're not, this is not the public hearing tonight. What we wanted to do, because the township board has not reviewed a PUD in a very long time, for them to see all of the information from planning commission. And begin to process that, and if they had any questions early on, that I could begin to get that information for them for the public hearing. But Abby, if you wanna hear anything, or Supervisor Bigford, hear anything from the applicant, if that would be beneficial for you, or not at this time.
I think, yeah, just kind of an overview would be helpful
Okay.
to get us to start, unless any of the trustees disagree. Brief overview, just to give us starting to, because you're right, we have not done this ever since I've been in office.
It was 2006 to be exact.
Thank you, we can count on you to know.
I was in the audience, but not on the board.
Is it okay if I stand here?
Absolutely.
I'm Todd Stivey with Excel Engineering, project manager and engineer for the project. Randy Cucci is the applicant with Cucci Builders and Developers. This is a, should get my notes summary from the 9-acre, probably one of them. Yeah, 9-acre park south side of 135th, just east of Blue Star Highway. The property is zoned R1, and it's adjacent to residential here, but the zoning is C2. There was a small triangle of property that was rezoned to R1 that was in this C2. If you drew a line through here, that small portion of the site was C2. We had that rezoned all to R1, just to be consistent.
So you all will vote on that in September, so the attorney is drafting that language now.
So with a PUD, the first thing you do is you draw what I call a comparison plan or by right plan that sets the base density. So this would be the comparison plan. This is what we could do in the R1 by right. So there are 14 duplex lots for a total density then of 28 units under the existing zone. Then you do a PUD plan and relax some of those some of the zoning requirements to, in this case, to try and, compress the development together a bit and provide open space, border preservation of trees. So the darker line here would be the open space area that we're preserving. It's a fully wooded site at this time. And within there, we were proposing a pickleball area, some trails. So that's the overview, if you will. Now, what we're proposing, these
these units here, which wrap around like that, they're 20 units of duplexes, so 10 buildings, 20 units. Each of those, there are 4 different styles of buildings. I'll quickly show you those in a minute. And then these 2 buildings here are 10 units of townhome, of 2-story units, total of 30 units. So if you do the math, the base density is 28. We're asking for 2 additional. It's, I'll back up one step. At one point, we were showing 32. We ran up against kind of a limit of 30 units for the fire code on dead end. So we dropped 2 units. It's about a 7% increase, bonus density increase. You can get up to 25% or 15%. So we aren't asking, we're asking for 2 more units. From a density standpoint, that's the crux of it. So the townhome, this is the townhome is a 5 unit and a
So 6 and a 4.
6 and a 4, okay, sorry, 6 and a 4. This is the bigger building of the townhomes. So, you know, the 4 would have that portion of it locked off. It's rear entry through the back alley as far as the garages are concerned. So this is what you'd see from the street facade. And then there are the 4 different styles of duplexes. And one thing to point out is one unit has a street facing garage. The other unit has a side loaded garage so that you're not seeing and that those side loaded garages share a driveway. So you're also limiting the number of driveways that come off the street. So there's a craftsman style, a farmhouse, story and half style, farmhouse, single level, and a prairie modern. So there's those 4 styles. All of them are 0-step design, slab on grade. That's really what you can see here, where you have the side load garages together. Then there's just one driveway cut out to the street. Roadways are private, and then those townhomes the garages are accessed from a rear alley. So this would be the main road. Yeah, that's good. From a utility standpoint, we'll be bringing sewer and water in from Blue Star. So 135th would get improved as far as utilities are concerned. Sidewalks throughout, and we'll be providing a sidewalk on 135th. So that is the brief overview. We've been working with the planning commission for several months, 6 meetings in total. So they recommended to the board to approve this project. So that's why we're here.
Any questions? Clerk Hoffman, you were in
I would just like to say that the applicant has represented very eloquently what the planning commission recommended. There was some concern about the density and some concern about the border, the buffer zone. But I think that applicants have answered those questions. And the planning commission did recommend board approval.
Right, they voted on June 24th.
Okay.
With 19 of conditions. That I recommend to read.
Yeah.
What's that?
They did include a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, I think 19 by my count. And of course, as has already been said, this board has never had a PUD in front of it. There was a PUD because it was property back in 2006. I don't know, even aware of that. That's when the buffer was initially insisted upon. Probably know from I've spoken at, that's my biggest concern is maintaining that buffer. You took out the nature trail, which thanks for that. Got a lot of zoning administrator on the buffer too, and I believe is it at 57 feet now, or thought it was 60?
Well, it depends on which one.
That, yeah,
This is 57, and this is obviously much larger.
right. But the east side is
The
50.
east side buffers.
Now, a concern that our zoning our planner has, as well as me, is the fact that the retaining pond is still goes into the buffer. So,
Yeah.
we may be suggesting
Yeah,
that
50
that be made smaller. And I understand that some of that retaining pond should go elsewhere or on the streets. So just bear that in mind, or that might come up next month as a request.
Okay, well, yeah.
Because as you
Talk
know,
about it at the planning commission.
the board next month, we can make changes to the PUD. We can add conditions or take them away. It's, well, PUDs are unique because they're special. So just bring that up. Maintaining the buffer, which I applaud, I think that's great, but I think there'll be discussion about the size, because it's also right, not just because it goes into it takes some of the buffer away, which is against the point of a buffer. But it also goes so near the property line, which is right at the crest of the property, it goes right down here, technically it could go down into Gossip Creek. If that pond was ever full and overfilled.
Right, I understand what you're saying, that who are we buffering? We're buffering these three
Right.
properties. And here's the creek, it does move, it's as far as it is away from the property here.
Right,
So there's 120 feet of,
but it's a steep incline or deep.
no, it really isn't. You gotta read the contours. It doesn't start dropping off to the creek until you get way close to the creek.
Okay,
So there's 120 feet of flat ground.
but it does cut it to the buffer.
It does.
It's just, if you could maybe think about that before next month. that'd be good.
And we did give it a little shift once, didn't we?
We shifted it out, there's a minimum standard that ponds are supposed to be 20 feet off, so we did shift it to a minimum of 20 feet. On the east and the south side.
Thank you. Wait, those are my main comments.
Stacy? Or Ms. Aldrich, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
It's, I know.
I'm gonna study it.
I do have a,
I,
oh, sorry.
okay, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I don't have a question.
You don't?
No.
Okay, Randy, I do wanna thank you for bringing this project to us and for utilizing our new PUD ordinance, because we worked really hard on it, so it's very exciting to see you working with that and getting creative, and then also bringing just more housing stock to our community, because we were in sore need of more housing, and I think it's the kind of housing that we need, the fact that you're thinking about zero entry. We have a large senior population. I think most of them really love living here and want to retire in place, and I think this is providing some options for that, so just wanted to thank you for bringing this project to us. I did for the board's benefit, just to talk about the site, because I know some of the site was cleared previously. Are you able to point out some of the areas that are that had not been cleared, where there's still, there we go. Okay, so there's a lot that had not been disturbed.
Right.
Everything seems to be about even age, there's little oaks and maples that are,
Yeah.
probably like that, and I don't know if they took the big stuff off it.
Mm-hmm.
In 2006 or whatever, and then, those were the 1-inch stuff that they went around.
Yeah.
They were gonna catch them with small equipment or whatever, but because everything's about even age, it
Okay.
appears, and then I've been in every square inch, but every time I've gone to different areas, I've pawed through
Yeah.
little oaks and maples and cherries.
Right.
Some jack pines, and they're all about, And some of them, some of them are up like that, faster growing species, so it's actually a nice stuff to build around because the roots don't go off so far from the tree and. Yeah, and it's I mean, this is, at least a certain percentages, these buyers, we think are probably gonna be people here, seasonally or for the weekend or whatever, so that outdoor space and having an outside,
Yeah.
maybe come out of Chicago, out of the city and
Mm-hmm.
seeing a little green is, a
Yeah.
little green is just what you need on the weekend, and so. So having those sites, with the nice views and, the nice backyards, even those townhouses with the decks on top of the garages. There's really nothing across the alley from that other pickleball court, so that too will be kind of out there,
Yeah.
in the edge of the woods field, so.
Because I believe in 2006, there was a restriction in terms of clearing for the building. About preserving hardwood trees.
Okay,
And I guess there's probably some new hardwoods that are smaller,
yeah,
because as you know more than anyone how so much has grown back up.
yeah,
But there was that condition about preserving. I don't know if it was based on the age, how mature the hardwood was, and that's all, in addition to the buffer.
okay. Doesn't appear that there's anything very big pulled off there ever, but,
Yeah,
there's, 20 years, there's. Some of the bigger homes and stuff, stuff should still be there.
yeah.
I haven't walked on it lately, I should take a look at it.
Yeah, no, I like that you were able to include so much green space. I think that's very nice. And
Huge value add.
It's good for the home, the buyers, and it's good for the neighbors.
Yes.
so I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
About I love that you're doing the sidewalk on the road. What was the conversation like with planning commission? Cause I'll tell you where my mind's going, that like ultimately, we have a vision for the Blue Star to be a very walkable corridor. And so at some point, the township would want to connect with what you're doing on the frontage of a property. I don't wanna I know that, for you, we wanna ask for things, but we also wanna be cautious about adding too much to your cost, because that ultimately is going to be passed on to the home buyers, and if we can keep those prices reasonable, we want to, but I just didn't know if there was any conversation about extending the sidewalk all the way to Blue Star or part of the way, because to benefit the future residents, we're gonna wanna do that at some point so that they have a dedicated place to walk to Blue Star. And then hopefully look at maybe redesigning that intersection so that's safer for folks too, but I didn't know if that came up in conversation at all. I don't wanna put you on the spot either, but.
I don't believe it did. So
Okay.
a quick discussion about what happened on our parcel,
Got it, yeah.
but they did not try to push us off the parcel of that.
Well, I appreciate that you're doing it for the entire frontage. I think that's really fantastic.
Any other questions or?
Oh, so, yeah, I know it's all in here and I've looked at it, but, do you know off the top of your head, the number of duplexes versus townhouses?
Just the numbers?
Yeah.
20 duplex units
20 on the
and
duplex,
10 townhomes,
10
for a total of 30.
right, I knew it was 30, thank you. What's the number of craftsman versus farm?
Yeah, it's about equal.
Is it equal?
Yeah, it's, okay, so T1 is a farmhouse, T2 is the craftsman, so it's 1, 2, 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3. So there's no two are together.
Okay,
So
I think there's only one of them, 1.5 stories, and they're the side yard.
there's two 1.5 stories probably.
and then some are single story?
Yeah, most are single.
Most are,
Yeah, those two, the 1.5 story one there gives you a 3-bedroom option on a couple of units, so. No basements.
no
And then
stairs.
about 1,800 square foot.
I'm thinking ahead for myself, so.
It's nice floor plans, I would say.
Be an easy
Yeah.
move.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, we
not
can
a
carry
winner.
everything.
Yeah. All right, well, we thank you guys for being
Yeah.
here, for
Okay.
sitting through our long meeting and for educating us and for,
No, it was good of you to come in advance of next month.
yes.
Okay.
And next month we'll be holding the public hearing here.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks, guys.
Our last, item under. Number 5, manager performance evaluation for session. I would suggest we take just a short little recess before we,
Great idea.
before we move to. If it's agreeable to begin with the frame, yeah, once you're post.
It's the older one.
I request it.
Okay, I heard that.
I think we have to vote.
You might have to hide it for a little bit.
How was that?
Okay, well, do you wanna? We can end this
Let's see. All right, wait on.
I don't know, I'm part of the meeting, I got my earnings and I can hear.
Okay. All right, so we are on item number 5, manager performance evaluation closed session. The manager has indicated he would like to go into closed session for his performance evaluation. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll support.
I think there's a sample motion.
Oh,
Motion to enter into a closed session pursuant to section 8, parent 1, parent A of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, MCL 115. 268, parent 1, parent A, for the purpose of conducting a periodic personnel evaluation of township manager.
I'll support.
What we call
That's a lot of talking.
motion by Osmond, support by Comrade, this is voice vote, right, or roll call?
I would do roll
I'll just-
call.
Osmond,
Yes.
Comrade,
Yes.
Bigford, yes, Aldrich?
Yes.
Alright.
Are you discussing this privately?
No.
They are.
Not anymore.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of closed session.
Support. Discussion? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I know this is not always the chairperson's role, but I can touch on that for just a moment. I'd like to move to increase Manager DeFranco's base salary by 7% and increase his paid vacation time by 5 days, retroactive to July 1st.
I'd like to support that.
Well, I guess now we can discuss it.
Yes.
We never discussed it.
Well, this is the time.
All right. I think 7 is too much. I was really pleased. I was happy with 5. That's more than the staff got. We give them the vacation days at 5%. That's how I feel. Because you know I love you.
I know you do.
I have to be.
I know,
the
thank
fiscal
thank you for
watchdog.
speaking your truth, and I hear it and I respect it, those mitigating factors, even. I consider that, but I've considered a lot of other mitigating factors and,
And I should have asked this earlier. I don't know, does anyone recall? What the percentages were the last 2 years?
Not off the top of my head.
Because they were significant.
Yeah.
Which we all wanted, so.
Yeah.
I think
I just out of my brain, but I don't know.
I just think that when you look at the salaries of other municipalities,
we should be looking at townships,
Yep.
comparable. Back to the
125 for potentially for Lake Counties. That's the starting. Well, 115.
So what would a 7% take it?
7% of 110.
What are you at now?
110.
Well, because
7,000.
Lake Township, their taxable value is significantly higher.
But
And their
It
population,
would take him to $117,700.
7%.
What's in 5 would be one.
Would be 115 and 500.
Well, I like 115, I think it's healthy.
any further discussion? So we have a motion by Bigford, support by Osmond. I guess I will call the roll, right?
Yeah, I would call the roll.
When in doubt,
And the motion is reminded.
I will consider.
Thank you.
Move to increase manager DeFranco's base salary by 7%. Increase his paid vacation days by 5 and retroactive this action to July 1st. Right, we'll call the roll. Bickford, yes. Osmond,
Yes.
Humrick,
No,
Aldrich.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 3-1. That's what I know, and it is okay, and that's what makes us good. We often, I do think that. Marcy would have probably voted in the affirmative, but we can't know that. She's
they're
not here.
relevant, doesn't affect the vote.
Thank you.
All right, okay, good. No public to comment, nobody joining us online. Board member comments, clerk, please go ahead and let us know what we need to know about the election that you held.
The election that we held on August 5 had a total turnout of 216 votes cast. 193 were absentee ballots, 22 walk-ins, and the proposal for the Plainville Public Schools passed at 102 voting no and 113 voting yes. So it was fairly close. And that's the end of my report.
Great.
Okay.
I agree. That's it.
I don't think I do either.
I'll give up, I know this is, I think it's okay. I didn't have a written report for Kalamazoo Lake Water and Sewer Authority, just spoke briefly. Just to let you all know, as you know, Manager Midnight is no longer at the authority. Casimir Bike is the interim manager. He's been a supervisor there for a long time. He's been working for the authority for 9 years, I think. Another senior employee, Kurt Bienema, I think I'm saying his name right.
I think that's right.
You know, he has a lot of experience. The office staff are working very hard. They are on skeleton crews. You know, normally they would have 6 operators and they have 4. Normally they'd have 3 full-time people in the staff plus the manager. They have 2. I'm really pleased by how hard, especially Kaz is working to, you know, to keep it all going. They are confident. They're overworked and, you know, things like that, but they're confident in doing their jobs. The licensing, you may hear there was, so Kurt has the correct licenses to run both the water and sewer side of the plant. He was always there. There was never an interruption. But because a form was not filled out designating him the OIC person, I don't even know what that stands for, but that we were in violation. So, Police and Mannerbrink are helping us with this process. Sorry, I lost my spot. We're gonna actually, they will be our OIC designee. They've seen this happen so many times, it's very common, no need for any type of panic. They will send out a communication, just basically saying that, you know, your operations have not been interrupted. It was basically kind of like something that was, you know, just a form that was overlooked, but we do need to notify the public that we were out of compliance for just a few days or whatever weeks or, but that sense has been rectified because police is gonna come in and we will be operating under their licenses. What else is important to report? Mostly that just, we're gonna be looking at, our meeting on Monday at hopefully, getting in a manager or an administrator or somebody to get it restaffed and to things forward. So please see me if you have any specific concerns or questions. I'm trying to help you.
Well, I want to commend you again. I think you got more than you bargained for, that's what we say, let's put her on that board. And
The day that we and Peter sat there and we're like, oh. I was like, okay, they knew it was gonna be a challenge, but we've been through challenges here, and that's what I tell them over at the authority is. You know, we came in a recall, we lost manager, we lost the supervisor, we were all brand new. And look how far we've come, and it just gets better and better if you stay in and stay focused on, you know, moving forward, so.
you handled a very difficult ballot, as did you guys, you two.
Yes, Daniel's been an incredible support.
And it's sort of something that was on people's minds since we got elected.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
It took time,
It did.
so. If you want to step down now, we'll understand.
Not yet.
I didn't mean, like, forget it. Mission accomplished is what I'm saying.
Thank you. I would like to, but I'm the chairperson now,
Okay, good.
so makes it a little
We're in good
complicated.
hands. I feel better.
Very good. So I think being back.
Are we gonna get a second seat?
Hopefully. Yeah. But, all right, there isn't anything further for board member comments. No, okay, I'll go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:38 AM. Well done.
Not so bad.
No, for a very, I mean.